Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm working on these 3x3 mini note cards, and these are fold over mini note cards, so they open up and they're just plain on the back. But on the front here I've got a little flower and then a button. And I was just working on a lot of these in bulk today. So let me move these over and then I'll show you how we make them. So I just start out with a piece of white cardstock that measures 3 inches by 6 inches. And I'm just going to simply fold this in half. And then we'll crease it down. And then for this base, I'm just using a piece of cardstock, and it measures just a little less than the 3x3. So it is 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. And I'm going to shade these first, just to give it a little bit of accent around the edges. So I'm just using the Tim Holtz Distress ink, using an old sponge, and I'm just going to go around the edges of this super quick. When I'm making these in bulk, I'll just have these all cut out, a nice big pile of them, and I'll turn on the TV and watch a movie or something and ink a bunch of the edges at one time. So it'll make easier, quicker work. Okay, we got that part done. So I'm going to glue that on. Pull over some glue paper. I'm just using an Elmer's glue. And I like to go ahead and put quite a bit on to make sure it stays on well. Don't want anything popping off. Okay, we'll try to center that up here. There we go. And I like to run my fingers through it just a little bit, because when that glue's on there, it wants to kind of make the edges flip up. But while it's wet, just a little bit, if I run my fingers through, and you can see it gives it just a little bit of an arch. As it dries, then it'll dry more flat without these ends flopping up in the air. So next I'm going to need my flower. And I've cut these all out on my Cricut. But of course you can use your hole punches and cut some other designs out. But I've done these, a ton of these in different colors, and I sell these in my Etsy shop. People like to use them for like the lays, you know, like the little lays that the kids will make. So I sell a lot of these, but I like to use them for other little projects too. So I think I'll use this blue one to start out. And I'm just going to use the same Elmer's stick glue. And I like to use this thinner one instead of that thicker one, so I don't have a lot of glue overlapping and kind of getting on the front. Of course, if you're careful, you can use the other kind too. Sometimes I just tend to not be as careful, so I'm going to use the thin one, center that up. Of course, I still got glue on there, but oh well, it's rubbing off. It'll be fine, right? Okay, so let's move on. I'm going to put a button, since I've got buttons on all the rest of these, I'm going to put a button in the middle of this one. And I think that one will do pretty good. So to put the button on, since it's not paper on paper and it's plastic on paper, I'm just going to use the tacky glue that I have. And we'll just put a little dot here in the middle. And I always like to store mine upside down in a little container. I've done that for years, and it keeps it from getting clogged up. Okay, I'll put the button right in the middle, and that is all there is to these. They're really quick and simple, but let me give you some other ideas of ways that you could use these, or you could decorate the front. So I've got one here, and let's pick another flower here. We'll use that. And so instead of using a button, I've got a little container of little jewels. So a little jewel would look nice in the middle of that. If you don't have any buttons or jewels, but you've got a little hole punch, you can use your hole punch And this is just a polka dot paper. And that might look nice in the center there. Let's see what else I have here. I've got some of these flowers that I'd shown in a previous video that I've made. So if you want to go back and watch that, they're just little flowers I've made with scrap pieces of paper. I think that would look pretty nice right in the middle. Another option I've also made before in a previous video. I've made these layered flowers. And they've got different layers, old book page and then some different scraps. So those would look nice in the middle. And then I haven't made these on a video on these, but it's just a little butterfly in the center of that one. Very similar to all these others, but a little butterfly. I have made these in a previous video. So the little butterfly would look nice. So those are just some different options that I have. Of course, you can pull out all your different punches that you have. And it always looks so nice to use these different ones and layer up and make your flowers. So that is all there is to these. And they're very simple and quick, but they just are something a little bit different than just a typical plain piece of paper on the front. So that's all I have for this one, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Be blessed. Bye-bye.